And tip number 87, here we are still with the lovely Richard S. Long. Now, I'd like to ask you, Richard, who are your favourite actors and why? Apart from me, of course.
Oh, well, I mean, it's a very hard to come. That's a very difficult question. I have to think about it for a moment. People like Clive Owen, the female version of Clive Owen.
What about Kate Blanchett?
Kate Blanchett,
She's one of my favourites. I'd like to be her.
The actors that ultimately have performed continuously for, say, 10 to 20 movies, obviously have the right X factor. They have worked it all out. They know exactly.
I've also noticed when I was in a series for 3 years at the BBC, is that the first year I was really just trying to find my character because she was a real bitch, so it was really hard for me to find that character.
Yeah, sure.
Being such a nice person, it really was. But I just kept being a bit over the top with her. I kept making her a bit too just a bit too over bitchy. So it took me at least until the third year to find to really, really relax with it, and I felt to find my character. So I guess if the actors are working all the time, they're getting better and better.
Here's a real tip. Actors don't necessarily need to find in a simple character role anything to do with adding a nuance on top of that character that allows them to play almost a parody of the character by giving themselves the opportunity to be over bitchy, because over bitchy is easy to play.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a terrible thing to actually say, but the realities of it are that lots of character actors overplay the part by generating something that isn't really necessary. But you know what it's like. You've
got to play your inner bitch, really, haven't you?
Yeah, you've really got to play it for what it is. If you need to play a solemn kind of, introverted kind of character, then ultimately that's all you're given. That's all you need to give. You don't need to suddenly be, a manic ex-murderer, because that makes the part easier to play.
Yes.
That's the problem that a lot of actors find, and that is that they over-dramatise the part that they're playing on the simple premise that they'd be more noticeable, and they may have.
That's quite theatrical too, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a bit of a theatrical medium.
So if you have 20 pages of dialogue throughout a whole 10 episodes or something, and you're a very small part of the malaise of the actual cast, people like to think, well, those 20 pages, I must project myself as much as possible and play this kind of layer on top of what is maybe just written as a very simple, mumsy kind of character, that's
like
all
Mrs. Brown.
Needed. Yeah, like Mrs. Brown.
Yeah.
You're never going to let me off with Mrs. Brown. And her name wasn't Mrs. Brown.
The only part that Richard's ever given me is with the feature film that he did. You did with a lot of the students or ex-students of level 4
I used
that
some
have done your showreel scene. You used some of them and then some other actors. The only part I was ever offered was Mrs. Brown coming into a cafe with her 2 children and sitting them down and ordering something at the table. That was I was waiting for but I must say,
I wasn't going to give you an Uzi and have you running around in a derelict building. That just wouldn't work.
Why ever not? Okay, but I must say, I did say in another tip, there's no such thing as a small actor. No, there's no such thing as a small part, just a small actor. And that's a tip from one of my film director friends in England.
Yes, that's very true too. I mean, a lot of actors tend to think that, I asked this question many years ago. If you were given the opportunity to work on CSI, I know CSI's finished now, but if you were given that opportunity to be basically a dead body, technically dead on a slab, and a lot of...
But to beat CSI with all those other actors.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of actors said, I wouldn't do it. I said, why? Why would you not be on CSI episode 960 when you have the opportunity to be? Because
is it because it's an extra role?
They said it's an extra role and it's a dead body. I said, but in actual fact, if you watch an episode, you'll actually see that there's a little reprise of your character.
When the character was alive.
Yes.
Yes.
So you're getting $2,700 for what is technically 2 days, and you're being exposed to your audience. You're giving of your craft, and that's really important. And you might have a bit role where basically you're a naked man laying on the slab, and they're just about to cut your head off.
Yes.
Cut your head open with a saw. But you'll also have the reprise, the scene in the beginning of the episode, which shows you before you became dead.
Yes.
So there's always a silver lining to everything, and you should never reject any part.
That would be very good for your showreel, which we're going to talk about as well. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next tip. Thank you so much, Richard, for coming in.
Thank you.